I'd like to call the meeting to order. If you would stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. And during your moment of silence, I'd like you to remember Ryan Harms. Ryan was a planner with the Tri-County Regional Planning Commission. I just got the sad news today that he died at the age of 30 over the Labor Day weekend in an accident on Lake Michigan. Ryan did a lot of work for Peoria Heights in our planning efforts, so please keep Ryan and his family in your prayers.
States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, welcome everyone. Welcome everyone who's watching at home. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee DeVore.
Present.
Trustee Gett.
Present.
Trustee Kazam.
Present.
Trustee Marfel.
Present.
Trustee Wigginton.
Present.
Trustee Weisenberg.
Present.
All right, everyone's here. Good to see everyone. Next is approval of the meeting minutes from the August 3rd, 2021 meeting. I would ask for a motion to approve the minutes.
Make a motion.
A second? All right, I have a motion and a second. Any questions on the minutes or any corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we'll be at comments from the audience. If anyone would like to address the board, please come forward to the podium, give your name and address, and try and keep your remarks under 5 minutes. Anyone want to address the board? Going once, going twice. Comments from the audience are closed. Any old business come for the board? Hearing none, we'll get right into new business. The first is economic development. Trustee Kazam, approval of BDD facade beautification grant application by WJA Properties LLC. I'd ask for a motion to approve that.
I make a motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Trustee Kazam. Thank you.
So as my fellow trustees will know, this is a beautification grant opportunity that we have promoted as a village to encourage businesses and properties to make improvements to the exterior of their properties. The grant is not to exceed $10,000 and it's a 75% matching grant. John Andrews purchased the property at 4810 Prospect, which has always been zoned business and continues to be a business, and he's made some improvements, and you'll see in your packets the monies that he's spent and what he's asking for.
Thank you for that explanation. Any questions for Trustee Kazam? Any discussion on the motion? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee DeVore.
Aye.
Trustee Gett.
Aye.
Trustee Kazam.
Aye.
Trustee Marfel.
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton.
Nay.
Trustee Weisenberg.
Aye.
All right, that passes. Anything else under economic development?
Nothing.
Okay, we'll go right on to public safety. The first is approval of a street closure for the Peoria Heights High School homecoming parade on Saturday, September 25th, 2021. Trustee Wigginton, I'd ask for a motion to approve this.
I move to close the street for the homecoming parade on September 25th.
And a second?
Second.
All right, go ahead, Trustee Wigginton.
Well, I think this is pretty straightforward. We are looking to close down the street to celebrate our hometown school as they have their homecoming on Saturday, September 25th, 2021. I know that some planning has been made to address any traffic issues that will come up. So I think this is just a short street closure, nothing like what we see with the Taste or the Art Fair or anything like that. So this is minor inconvenience to some drivers, but I think a lot of good out of the community for this.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Discussion on the motion? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee DeVore.
Aye.
Trustee Gett.
Aye.
Trustee Kazam.
Aye.
Trustee Marfel.
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton.
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg.
Aye.
All right, that passes. Anything else under public safety, Trustee Wigginton?
Yes, if I may, I would like to talk a little bit about the fire department. In fact, Chief, if you want to make any introductions, or I think we have some people in the audience tonight.
Certainly. So we have 3 new members that are started this past week with the department. The first one is Hunter Bevert. You guys want to stand up? Second one is Alex Agnor, right? And Logan Waters. They have a year's worth of probation before they're actually members of the fire department, but they started last Wednesday. We'd like to thank you for serving, and hopefully it'll work out for you and stick around for a while. We do have one more member.
Thank you all for your willingness to serve. We really appreciate that.
We do have one more member that couldn't make it tonight, and I will bring him to the next meeting.
Okay, sounds good. Again, welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Trustee Wington, you still have the floor if you have anything else.
I think just real quickly, Chief is also busy, fire department's busy filing for some grant things. Is that right, Chief?
Correct. So we are applying for another small equipment grant from the State Fire Marshal's Office. Hopefully can get that. We've also applied for a grant from the Assistance to Firefighter grant from the federal government. Hopefully that comes through to replace all of our air packs. I do want to mention too, this Saturday we're going to be down at the corner trying to collect money for the association. On September 11th, we're going to have a ladder truck set up with the flag there, and then also on the 12th, we're going to have the ladder truck set up with the flag in the parking lot down at Heritage Square.
Thank you. Mike Bailey, will you make sure you get with Chief to get that out? Okay. And I'd also ask you if you would do a little write-up and publish it on each one of the volunteers too, and get with Chief on that. All right, Trustee Wigington, go ahead.
Chief Sutton, any, as far as, I know there's nothing to, okay, all right, that's it.
All right. We'll move on to administration. Trustee DeVore. The first is approval of a site plan application filed by Gwen Gilson, GG Properties V, LLC, Series 7 for development of a multifamily residential unit located at 1311 East Duryea. I would ask for a motion to approve this.
I make a motion to approve this site plan.
And a second?
Second.
Go ahead, Trustee DeVore.
Okay, so this is a single unit right now, and they are looking to split this into 2 different units. One will be 1-bedroom apartments, each with a separate entrance. This did go through the zoning board. It passed unanimously with no conditions on this. There is drawing layouts in your packet so you can see what the current residence looks like and what they're aspiring for it to look like, and also a little floor plan there.
All right, good explanation. Any questions or discussion?
So it's just a studio and then the other one's a 1-bedroom?
Yes.
Is this where the sheer pizzazz was at?
I believe that's what it was called, yeah.
And for 2 residences, is there parking? I haven't read.
So there was a
7
hair
parking.
salon, so there is adequate parking there because they used to have their employees park,
Okay.
or like their customers park there.
I think they have 7
7
parking
parking
spaces.
Okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I-
If you're ready for the question.
And this is zoned residential?
No, it's currently
It's
commercial,
commercial, okay.
right? It was a hair
Mark.
salon prior, and
Yeah,
it's
so it's
going,
in B.
reverting to a residential.
Exactly, which is permitted, but because it's in the commercial zone, anytime you're doing any modifications at all, you gotta get site plan approval from the zoning board.
Got it.
So moving forward, would it be residential or does it stay commercial?
Stays commercial.
Stays commercial.
Anyone else? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee DeVore.
Aye.
Trustee Gett. Aye. Trustee Kazam.
Aye.
Trustee Marfell.
Aye.
Trustee Wigington.
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg.
All right, that passes. Next is discussion of an easement agreement with the Illinois American Water Company. Trustee DeVore, would you set this up?
Yes, so Chief Sutton and Mark, I know have had lots of discussions with Illinois American Water in regards to the questions we had with the taking on the 10 acres and then also with the closing of the trail. Both have said that the conversations went well, and I think they're here to answer any questions that we have for us. And I don't know, Chief, if there's anything you want to add to that?
No, I'll just say after the last meeting we had, we did have discussions with council president, and I conveyed to them the board's concerns they had. I'm very happy with their response and explanations on how we could work through this together. So I thought it would be good for them to show up, and maybe if you have any other questions, you could ask them directly. But my recommendation is to move forward with the agreement. But I know that they're here today to give some information and a presentation, so thank you.
All right, good evening. My name is Josh Harkin. I'm an engineer for American Water and also the project manager on this project. I have a handout and then I have the plans pulled up here. So I'll start with this. This is a preliminary schedule. And I want to emphasize preliminary. A lot of it has to do with material delivery times right now being really up in the air. The project has already bid, and the low bidder was Walker Excavating, who do a lot of work in the area, and they're a good contractor. So the schedule, I had the rest of this month. The project requires 3 easements, so I had the rest of this month set aside for finalizing, hopefully all 3 of those. With the material order going in the 1st of October, we're looking at 12 weeks at a minimum for most stuff to come in, which pushes construction to the beginning of 2022. With that being winter, a lot is subject to weather. And at the bottom, I have a few notes. What I've kind of broken the project into 2 areas, one being the residential area, which would be on the village streets. Let's see if this is working. So the original intent was to connect to our existing 24-inch line at the end of Toledo and run straight over and up. However, we were not able to find a route along Toledo, so most of it runs 1 block south on Marietta over and up Monroe, and then it kind of crosses where Sherman's warehouse is right there. So most of the routing through the residential area is on Marietta and not on Toledo itself. And once we get through Sherman's property, we get onto the bike trail right away, and we follow that all the way up north. The 3rd easement is the furthest north. There's a couple hundred foot where we actually cross onto the city of Peoria. Another thing to note, and I will bring this up. Okay, so this would be right when we make the bend to get onto the trail property. We're zoomed out kind of far, but this line right is the trail itself, and there's a faint black line up here that's the water main. We actually tried to not be under the trail as much as possible. We tried to be off in the green space. However, there are a few areas where it slopes pretty hard right off the trail, and in those areas, the only place that we could find room was under the trail itself. The method of installation and talking to the contractors, whether or not we tried to bore it in or open cut with the equipment that would be necessary for boring, we were going to tear up the trail no matter what. It was just too heavy of equipment moving up and down through there. So open cut would be, it's more cost effective and it's much quicker. So we could get in and out as quick as possible, and then we would full width restore whatever was damaged. The trail, the grass, we would put seating back, etc. The one exception to that is where we cross Glen. And we are boring about 300 foot under Glen. They would set up over here to somewhere over here. That's going to be bored in no matter what, just because of all the other utilities in the area. It's easier to just go under them all rather than try and dig around. So that area is going to be, would be bored in no matter what. And in talking to the contractor, they can stage things to where we keep construction south of Glen, get that all restored as much as possible, and then move to north of Glen. So if you would be using the trail coming south, there's a logical kind of ending spot there where people can get off the trail and you're not really in no man's land. There may be some temporary access at Glen itself, just to get people who would be on the trail over to Glen. And another thing I'd like to emphasize is when we're actually not digging close to the trail itself, if we can keep construction activities away from the trail at a safe distance and in a safe manner, the trail would be able to stay open. And in some evenings, when construction is not going on, the trail, if they can get everything cleaned up in the site, put back in a safe manner, then the trail could stay open in the evenings as well. The other big thing is that with construction likely taking place over the winter months, asphalt plants are closed down, so we would not be able to put asphalt back for the finished surface until those open up, which if you look at the last few years has been the first part of April. However, a temporary gravel surface could be put in until that time.
Are there going to be any closures on Glen, or the boring under the ground won't disrupt the road at all?
We do not anticipate any closures on Glen, and if there are, it would be limited in duration, but we do not anticipate that.
So what does that mean, limited in duration?
We're talking during maybe a few hours during working time, and then it would be, we would, if we would have to close a lane down, we would probably stop construction activities until we could communicate with that, with the village to see what the best way to do that would be.
I interrupted you, Trustee Weisenberg. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
So realistically, the trail would be closed between January 15th and March 31st?
Portions of it will be. The whole stretch will not be closed that entire time.
As far as the boring and concern, I don't think we have any issues as far as the trail, as far as other utility lines or buried electric. But on Glen, are you anticipating any kind of Greater Peoria Sanitary District issues or any other, running into any other utilities?
No, we've already looked at all the utilities that are there, and we feel we can safely bore across without any conflicts. However, if we had to, that's why we are boring that no matter what, because digging around all of those would be an issue. It's actually simpler to bore that in.
Will you bore underneath the sewer? I mean, because I assume there's a sewer there.
Yeah. I know it's kind of hard to see on the bottom. The sewer lateral is kind of down here, and we're up. We're actually, it's deep. It's deep enough to where we can be above it, but we'll have to be below other utilities like electric and gas.
Okay.
And will there be any closures or disruptions on Marietta, on the residential side?
No closures. We are keeping the alignment on Marietta. So this is the street. We're on the north side. So you'll still be able to have two-way traffic.
Okay.
Chris, where's our water main at on Marietta? Do you recall? Is it in the middle?
I would have to look. don't believe it's in the middle. I think it's on one of the sides. They have, I believe you guys all have maps of our utilities running through there, and I'm
Yeah.
sure you've worked around that.
Yeah, we've already looked at all that, or the consultant who did the plans looked at that.
And you said there's 3 easements that are necessary, and you've had to move one of them toward Sherman? Are you going to need one from the Sherman's property?
Yeah, the 3 are Peoria Heights, City of Peoria, and the third one is from Sherman's. All 3 are kind of at the same, we're right there, just not there yet.
Gotcha.
I have 2 questions. You did a really good job explaining it, but I didn't quite understand. So do you think that you will be able to reroute trail traffic more toward the spring when, I know you said you would, at any possible time, workers would clean up the trail for evening time and that type of thing, but if it goes on for a matter of days, is there a possibility to reroute traffic?
So by staging it south of Glen and then north of Glen, we would if you were coming from the south, you would be stopped at Glen itself. And if you were coming from the north, you would then be stopped at Glen. So,
Yeah, and those are, I'm trying to picture that. So I think
Yeah.
there are valleys right there, right? So that's where
Yeah.
Matter of Taste is on the south? Is that right?
Yes, you're
Okay,
right.
okay, and then, okay, but on the north side, there also, it kind of dips down.
but we don't anticipate being able to install the water main and in that same area being able to safely route people around.
No.
It's just not.
I can see that now
Yeah.
that after I asked.
So it would be, everything south of Glen would kind of be shut down. So Glen would be like sort of a logical either turnaround spot, or you could head
You
into,
could head into the heights.
head into the
or-
village or, yeah, wherever.
I think Trustee Weisenberg saying that realistically, the trail's going to be shut down. I mean, even if you close it down at 5, it's in the middle of winter, it's dark, no one's going to be going on the trail at that time. And if we put gravel over it, I mean, a lot of the people on the trail are these thin road bikes that, have, so I don't know. I think we just have to assume that the trail's going to be closed for them. And honestly, the time frame looks, I think, pretty reasonable. So, I mean,
Yeah.
but I think the trail's going to be closed.
Go ahead, Chief.
I would like to,
Would it be possible to put in fire hydrants on that?
We're putting in valves. We typically, because of the use of this main, it's kind of like a interstate for water. We don't put hydrants or what you would think of as like driveways off there. This is meant to move a lot of water. We're not putting any hydrants in. It's just not something that is typically done. Are you in an area where,
I mean, if there's one by Sherman's, that would be great, and, maybe another one at the park there by Glen.
and the intent would be to make that available for,
Yeah, if we need it for a fire or to, transport water or whatever needed.
not sure how that works since we don't serve you guys. I don't know even if the Commerce Commission would let us do that.
You would have to get permission from the Commerce Commission.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how that would work.
And seeing as how I haven't really seen it done anywhere, I think the safe answer to assume is probably not.
Trustee Marfell had a question, and I checked it, and our water main does run down the middle of Marietta, just so you know.
I understand that you have easement rights to some of this already, but does the Park District have to give any okay for this as well?
The consultant who worked on the easement, I'm sticking with we just need an easement from whoever owns that land.
Okay.
We've notified the Park District, just so you know, all along the process, and got a little bit of input from them, but not a lot. They were invited to come tonight.
Okay.
Anyone else? I have a couple of questions. I'm going to come back to street closures. What streets are going to be impacted For how long, and what exactly will occur on those streets that would be impacted?
So the streets that will be impacted are 2 blocks on Marietta, 1 block on Monroe, so we're kind of zigzagging around Sherman's property, so it'd be the block just to the east and north of Sherman's property, which is Monroe and Toledo, and then 2 blocks heading west on Marietta. All of the alignments stick, we're not going down the middle of any of those streets because it sounds like it's already claimed. So we are sticking to the north on Marietta, and then we will cross over Monroe, and we kind of hug Sherman's property. So we're on the east side of Monroe and then the south side of Toledo. Generally, when we stay to the edge of the roadway, we are able to keep 2-way traffic open. However, it will require some communication with the residents on those streets regarding parking, because sometimes that can be an issue. If there's a lot of on-street parking, they may lose that for a short period of time. However, we don't keep a lot of trenches open. We backfill them, and like a temporary surface will be put on, so everything will be brought back up to grade. And when the asphalt plants open up, we'll take off the top 4 or 5 inches and come back with asphalt. So any impact in one, it's kind of like a moving installation. Any impact to one area would be a day or 2 for a residence, but then you're gonna have the trench is gonna be closed in, brought back up to the surface within a couple of days.
Will that be part of the written agreement, council?
It is not part of the written agreement. I mean, their obligation to restore, but we don't have specific timelines in there.
Are we able to get those in the agreement?
We can work toward that.
Well, I'm going to make some remarks. I'm going to preface it by first saying I have nothing but good to say about Illinois American and its employees, but personally, the personal experience with your construction projects is terrible. What you did to tie up Prospect and divert the traffic was terrible. What you did on Lake Street when there was nothing going on for days and weeks on end was terrible. And every day I drive Harvard, and the signage there and the construction site is also terrible. I'm going to say to you, council, and to the administrator, don't let this happen in Peoria Heights, or I'm going to be very unhappy.
Understood.
Anyone else? All right, so we'll put this on the board meeting for approval.
Exactly.
All right, thank you for being here.
Yep.
Trustee DeVore, anything else under administration?
No, Mayor, that's all.
We'd be at miscellaneous business. Any miscellaneous business come for the board?
I have an item, and I've spoken about it before, and I'm not sure if we've ever gotten an answer back from GNO, but they leave couches and furniture sitting on the side of the street for weeks. They started it around the time of COVID, and it makes our neighborhoods look like trash. If you go to the CDC website, infections from surface contact is extremely low. So either they need to start picking this stuff up when it's set out, or maybe we need to ask residents not to sit it out until their COVID measures end, because Ogden looks like crap. You got leather couches that are torn up, and there's furniture all over the village, and not even Peoria looks like that. So I don't understand why GNO leaves stuff out for weeks, because it has little to nothing to do with their chances of getting COVID. Their employees should be vaccinated by now if they're picking up trash. So I don't know if there's anything we can do to have them start picking up garbage when it's set out there. Because the residents don't haul it back to their house. And if they hauled it back to their house, that kind of defeats the purpose of leaving it out there to begin with.
Is that couch considered trash in GNO's eye?
GNO's eyes, they've always picked it up.
As long as they can get it in the back of the truck, and that's what the guys have told me, they'll do it. So, yeah, we had a recliner sit on Longview for a while. I mean, the thing was that they would put it out and leave it sit there for a couple weeks, So
Well,
like, it
what one
climbs
driver
up.
what one driver may take, the other may not. So if it's not their official regulations, then
Well-
that may be why it's sitting there.
They've always picked up, as long as I can remember, GNO's always said you could get it in the back of the truck, so.
What's
Go ahead, Dustin.
Well,
contract?
there's a couple of different issues here. One, it is their policy. They did change it. You're correct, Trustee Weisberg. The other problem is some residents put it out so early. So what we do at the police department and code enforcement is we'll make contact, make them take it back up. So if they put it out 6 days early, they usually a lot of them will put it out a day after the trash goes. So we have to contact them, have them take it back to their residence, put it in the garage, because you're right, it does look horrible. So there's not a one size fits all here. It is part of their new policy, you're right, but it is a lot of the residents putting it out so early. So we've been trying to educate them on here's what we recommend you doing, either the morning of or the night of, so it doesn't sit out there all week and look like a junkyard. So we've been trying to cover that through code enforcement. You know, as far as changing GNO's policy, I haven't had a lot of dialogue with them, Trustee Weisberg, but I do know that is their new policy, and they did change that early on in COVID, and they have not gone back to it. So let me do a follow-up with them to see if we can, I'm not sure, we have a contract with them, so I'm sure they're very accommodating. I will say this on their behalf, when we do contact them and point out a couch has been out there, they do come back out and grab it. And then if we have extreme circumstances, if it's an eviction or something that's been out there a while, hats off to the Public Works Department. They also, all hands on deck, take care of the problem. So I'll reach out, but a lot of it is people put it out too early, and it sits out there for 7 days, a whole week, so.
I know that, at least the cases on Ogden and the other neighborhoods, I know they put it out in time because the rest of the garbage was taken, but the furniture was left.
And the experience that Dustin said as well, or Chief Sutton said, I've personally called them as well at times where they've left my, garden or my, yard waste, and they have come back and picked it up. So, I mean, sometimes if you have a leather couch still sitting in your front yard, it's maybe a call to GNO yourself to say, hey, come pick this up. And they've been very accommodating for me. So I don't know.
We'll get you an answer, Trustee Weisenberg, as soon as possible.
There just seems to be a lot of couches and chairs hanging around the heights here lately, and they're there for what seems like forever.
Okay, thanks for bringing that to our attention. Any other miscellaneous?
I would like to say that the annual seal coating program is going to start tomorrow. So if you check our website, there is a map of your street. If you are on that street that is blacked out, your vehicles need to be moved. It will start tomorrow. And we request that you do not park between 6 and 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. That way we can get that done. And that's taking place east of Heritage Square and south of War Memorial.
Thank you, Superintendent Chandler. Anything else?
No, that's all for me. Thank you.
Any other miscellaneous business? We'd be ready to adjourn. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of the motion to adjourn signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Adjourned.